Entry 18. I went back to the Raven Queen Temple to try and talk to the High Bearer. He wasn't going to see me. Apparently, I've been barred from talking to him or any of the other higher clergy of the church. Only the High Bearer speaks to the Raven Queen. Only he has access to the... Matheta said before trailing off and then hurrying away. Access to what? What is being hidden in the back of the church that normal followers don't see? I left the temple and decided to make my way through the market district to see if anything caught my eye. Heard a few men talking about the frequency of Slayers Guild parties going missing, or only one or two of the members coming back from south of the gate. The way I understand it, it shouldn't really be surprising these people are routinely sent after dragons and hydras and terribly strong monsters. Of course, some of them aren't coming back. But it seems that they're running low on members, so I thought this might be my chance to make some money. I'm dangerously low on funds after my fights in the Crucible. I made my way to the guild and was promptly placed on a team with a staggeringly old gnome and a tiefling. Tomorrow we're out to start our hunt for of all things, a hydra south of the gate. Need the heart, a few eyeballs, and some teeth. Entry 19. Woke up at dawn to meet my team at the guild. Made our way through the gate and started tracking. I'm not terribly good at tracking, but the tiefling is. We were on track within a few hours. Spent the rest of the day trekking through the woods further and further south. We've made camp in a small clearing. Entry 20. Spent most of the day tracking this thing down. The tiefling led us to a waterfall butted up against the mountainside. But that was where the trail ended, or so we thought. The moment we started to make camp, the dang thing popped up out of the water and attacked us. The fight was long, but we managed to kill the thing without cutting off any of the heads. The tiefling managed to harvest all of the parts, plus some, that we needed to fulfill the contract. Exhausted, we've just decided to make camp here next to the waterfall. It's very serene now, but I've decided to take the last watch of the night. I can hear something rustling in the bushes. Entry 21. My group was attacked last night by a fair amount of ghouls. They came rushing out of the bushes. Me and the gnome, Shep, were able to fend them off, but the tiefling wasn't as lucky. It didn't take long before he was overwhelmed, and the injuries from earlier in the day made it impossible for him to continue fighting. We would have met the same fate had we not grabbed the satchel of parts and started running, and it seemed like an hour before we stopped hearing them behind us. We decided it wasn't a good idea to stop and sleep. They might catch up to us. We made it back into the city just after nightfall and turned the Hydra parts into the guild and got paid. Parted ways with Shep and headed back to my room. That gnome is crazy. I wouldn't put him past him to go back through the gate on another hunt. I'm not as hasty, but if he was on my team, I'd feel a lot better about my odds. I'm a continent away with hundreds of miles of waters between us, and I can't escape this undead scourge. Entry 22. Went back to the Trial Forge this morning. It's been a few days since my return from south of the gate. I was ready for him this time. I met him blow for blow. My purpose is what gives me strength. Knowing that I've been chosen for a higher calling gives me strength. Carrying out her will, that gives me strength. Well, apparently this was the right answer, or at least a satisfactory one. You will learn how to hone your skills and harness your inner power, he says. I think I'll need all the help I can get. I ended the day with some terrible news. The letter carrier from Amon found me at the tavern and gave me a letter. Seems that not only is Master Ignamwe not at the monastery, but nobody is. The letter describes the scene as complete desolation, as if a battle had taken place and not a soul in sight or any indication of where they might have went. I'm the only one left. Entry 23. Matheta's words ate at me all day today. The High Bearer has access to something the rest of us don't. I spent the majority of the day in the Raven Queen Temple in silent prayer, secretly watching the coming and goings of the clergy. The temple is open at all hours, but many of the doors are locked once the clergy leave for the night. I left just before sundown and waited for the High Bearer to leave, and then I made my move. I tried my best to pick the lock on the door, but couldn't find my way through. But windows. Windows are easy to break. And I'm sure she won't mind if I deface the temple in the grand scheme of things. I made my way through the stained glass into a vaulted ceiling chamber. In the center of the room was a dark pool of some thick liquid. I could feel myself being drawn to the pool and then hearing a gentle, "Let go." So I did. I waded into this, what I thought was shallow pool, up until my neck. The water was freezing cold. I submerged my head under the surface and immediately felt myself falling farther and farther into the water. I couldn't breathe and I felt myself suffocating as the water got colder and colder, freezing at this point. "Let go," I hear again. And I did. I took a breath of water and finally felt myself stop falling. The water got warmer and I could breathe. And then I saw her. The mask was unmistakable, but I could see more of her now than I could in my dreams. The mask had more details. Her hair seemed darker than I thought possible. Her skin an alabaster white, and her dress was simple but elegant. She truly is worthy of the title Queen. I don't remember everything word for word, but it went something like this. "I'm so very pleased for you to finally be able to join me here where my connection to the mortal plane is strongest. I chose you to carry out my will because you possess the strongest conviction I have seen in my many hundreds of years. My followers have become stagnant, no longer value the ideas that I hold so dear. I have given the High Bearer of this temple many signs over the years of this arising evil, but he chooses to do nothing. He is falsely devout and has led my flock astray. I fear that you will be unable to change the minds of the many, but I may be able to help you change the minds of the few. The world is in dire need of those that can see danger and are willing to meet it head on. Someone like you." And then I woke up next to the pool, completely dry despite being submerged in a pool of something. I found, clutched in my hand, a medallion emblazoned with the Raven Queen symbol, a raven skull, and my sickle. I climbed back out the window and made my way back to the tavern just as the sky began to brighten. Entry 24. I spent much of the day contemplating my next move. I admit that my skills are in dire need of refining, unfortunately. I haven't stood much of a chance against anything since my fight in the cave. I decided to take the Earthbreaker up on his offer. I said goodbye to Mira, packed up my meager belongings, and set out to the Trial Forge. I have been put up in a room here, but will be unable to write for the foreseeable future. Hopefully, I will find guidance in the interim.